Okay, take three. Hi, my name is George. I'm an advanced Cicerone and national ranked BJCP judge. Today I'm going to do a BJCP style walkthrough of Cloudwater Brewing Piccadilly Pilsner. It's hopped with Chinook, Columbus, and Mosaic. It's a collaboration with Duration. It's a 4.2% alcohol. Celebrating 8 years of premium craft beer, pursuing excellence and deliciousness through collaboration, inspired by the joy of classic beers, lively pubs, and quaffable pints. And Cloudwater, established in Manchester, 2015. Duration is a more recent project. They are on the east coast of England, north-ish of London, almost directly east of Birmingham, and they're a farmhouse brewery doing like clean versions of beers and then also doing wild stuff. Reading about them got me pretty stoked. I loved reading their story. Go check them out, durationbeer.com. I'll read a little bit here. Beers that belong. Duration is a modern farmhouse brewery in West Norfolk, making beers that belong. Fresh beers and wild and blended farm-style ales with a sense of time and place to them. Our vision is to build a destination farmhouse brewery that is educational, pioneering, and brings jobs and skills to the area. Surrounded by the creative solitude of nature, we make good beer with good people in a way that respects where we are. So I really love their messaging and their branding. Really cool. Check them out. And so for this beer, I'm gonna just walk through it. I'm gonna work on making these videos a bit more succinct sometimes. Sometimes I'll ramble. I tend to ramble, so we'll see how that goes. But my goal is to kind of go through the tasting part pretty quickly so that if you're studying for BJCP or Cicerone, you have someone to walk through some of these beers with. Some of these beers you may be able to find, some you won't. So I'm going to try to do a bunch of classic stuff that is in the BJCP list, and then just stuff that I find fresh and looks fun. So here we go. Of course, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you want me to do a certain beer or a certain beer style or like comparisons of beers. A few ideas in the pipeline, but here we go. Okay, so pouring light straw. So far the head is like bone white, pretty frothy bubbles there. A good range of very tight, fine bubbles, and then some kind of, we call kind of fisheye. I apologize for the glassware situation. Gotta get that down, but clarity, very good. And color, that light straw, bone white head. So far the head is pretty persistent, although starting to kind of recede, and I can see already leaving some light lacing. Aroma. Hops are the thing that's most prevalent on the aroma, so I'm going to talk about them first. On the aroma, I get medium hop aroma. I smell fresh cut grass, citrus rind, grapefruit, a little touch of pear, pineapple, a little bit of like fresh like tarragon or fresh mint, so kind of like earthy green. That's that kind of fresh cut grass again. Malt characteristics on the aroma, low, and it's like raw dough and crackers, like white saltine cracker. Yeast profile, I get a low sulfur that could be appropriate for the style. Could expect that with some lagers. I don't smell any, if there are esters, they'd be very low and they're kind of mingling with the hop character, but I'm not picking up in my nose any of that like volatile acidity, the thing that sometimes tells me that I'm detecting esters. Okay, and then diacetyl, no. Green apple or latex paint, no. Any kind of oxidation, no. The only thing that's kind of standing out a little bit is maybe a little bit of grassiness, but I think that's kind of what they're going for here, hopped with Chinook Columbus Mosaic. So they're definitely not trying to go for like a, classic German Pilsner, but definitely a nod towards it already. Okay. Flavor, wow, it's really nice. Let me expand on that. So, hop flavor is the dominant characteristic here. And the hop flavor is, again, this fresh cut lawn or grass, mowed grass. I can expand on that by saying it's kind of like fresh herbs, like fresh mint, fresh tarragon, fresh oregano. There's a bit of like rose water characteristic to it, or like rose petal. And there's also a pretty nice like blend of citrus. The citrus is leaning a little bit more towards the kind of like grapefruit pith, lemon pith. But there's also like a little touch of like finger lime. And like a little like suggestion towards tropical, but not very much. Really, this beer is dominated more by the kind of heavier old school citrusy and that like Columbus Chinook, getting a touch of that like pineapple papaya, but the lingering sensation here is bitterness. Bitterness is medium, pretty firm medium. There's not a lot of malt character to hide there, so it seems like it, the perceived bitterness, I could say medium plus, but I would say that the actual bitterness is medium. And going into malt characteristics, very low malt. I would say, again, that like saltine white cracker and raw dough. And then yeast characteristics, definitely getting low overall with a very low sulfur and this kind of like fresh baker's yeast, kind of generic yeasty profile in a good way, like generic baker's yeast kind of vibe. So proofing dough could be a good description for that. And balance is hops. The bitterness for sure is the thing that's kind of driving this flavor profile. It's the thing that lingers into the end. The sulfur kind of lingers with it from the fermentation or the yeast profile there, but in I'd say a pleasant way, in a way that definitely encourages me to eat something, which I think is a nice thing to ask for, or a nice thing to expect with the beer. And then no diacetyl, no acetaldehyde, not detecting any sort of form of oxidation. The only thing I could mark potentially on the left side of my BJCP scorecard might be just grassy. But again, I think it's kind of what they're going for. They're definitely achieving it. There definitely is like a hop forward beer that has a very soft, delicate like malt body behind it. And then for mouthfeel, light body. Let's check the carbonation. Medium carbonation, medium light astringency from, that's a hop derived astringency, and creaminess is low. Overall, a very pleasant drink. So we did appearance, aroma, flavor, mouthfeel. Now we're going to go into the kind of overall description. So my elevator description or elevator pitch for this beer. A hop-forward modern interpretation of the classic German Pilsner, showcasing more kind of like 90s style hops, the Columbus Chinook, kind of more piney. I didn't mention piney, I was thinking it during my description, but yeah, piney is right up there with all my other hop descriptions. Insert those there. So on my score sheet, I'd probably go up and fill in piney. And showcasing these kind of more like mid to late 90s, early 2000s hop profile that's a bit more pine, citrus, like grapefruit and kind of pithy, with a touch of tropical fruit, built on top of also a kind of fairly more modern interpretation of lighter and lighter colored pilsners. It tends just to be the trend with how German Pilsner interpretation, or beers that are interpreting German Pilsner, are becoming a little bit more lighter in color here and there. But or you would expect them to be that more than you wouldn't, I should say. And yeah, not really a good elevator pitch. I think I nailed it in the beginning, but I rambled in the end. But so if I look at my German Pils category 5D, overall impression, a light body, highly attenuated, gold colored, bottom fermented bitter German beer, showing excellent head retention and elegant floral hop aroma, crisp, clean, and refreshing. German Pils showcases the finest quality German malted hops. So if I were judging this beer in the category, I might ding it a little bit for some of the balance that, let's see if I'm wrong. Flavor. Medium to high hop bitterness, that's true. Dominates the palate and lingers into the aftertaste, definitely true. Moderate to moderately low grainy sweet malt character, supports the hop bitterness. I think right there I might say, if I had a bunch of other like really good German Pilsners in front of me, I might say, the malt here doesn't quite support the level of bitterness here. I don't know if they dry hopped this or not. They don't really tell me, so I can't assume they did. But just the amount of like kind of grassiness and astringency makes me think they did. I can't assume they did. But that level of that doesn't quite have like the support from the malt in terms of like where to pin it in the categories. But it's an amazing beer. So in terms of like flawlessness, it's there. It's very flaw-free, very delicious, easy drinking beer that encourages me to eat some food. And I'm sure a couple pints of this with a good meal would be fantastic. Today I just have a little simple salad I made at home with some beets and goat cheese and carrots and whatnot, but lots of pepper, as I'm wont to do. Really fresh olive oil. That's kind of a more peppery olive oil, and I think that's going to work nicely here. I think the pepper itself and the peppery kind of astringent olive oil is going to maybe neutralize or so balance out some of the bitterness here, and maybe allow some of that maltiness to kind of come through. And then this tangy goat cheese, I think, will play nicely with some of the kind of maltiness that is present there. So I'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's that. Okay, I did it. 12 minutes. If you are studying for BJCP, you should work on filling out an entire score sheet, every single line, hitting your aroma, and talking about each ingredient, hitting all of your intensities for everything. So I'm trying to illustrate that here. But you should practice doing that in under 12 minutes. If you can do 10 minutes, that's even better. So in the spirit of that, I'm trying to kind of keep these a little shorter from time to time. Sometimes I'll ramble. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cloudwater and Duration Brewing, Piccadilly Pilsner. Fantastic beer. I would score this in the low 40s, most likely. High 30s, potentially, depending on how I'm feeling, if I want to pick on that balance I was talking about earlier. But fantastic beer. Highly recommend. And that's that. Hit me up. Leave comments, all that. Tell me which beers you want me to try next, and I'll go pick them up. Bye.